everyone, I'll just wait for a few more of you to come through. You can see some of your audios are connecting. Awesome. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar with Iulia Pop, our Programmes Manager from the Creative Destruction Lab, and Libby Wood, our Programme Manager from the Entrepreneurship Centre. Please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box, which will be answered at the end of the session. Over to you, Libby.
Hello everyone, good afternoon or good morning or maybe good evening, depending where you are. It's really great to meet you today, and hopefully we get to meet many of you in person soon. My name is Libby Wood. I lead on programs for the Entrepreneurship Centre, and today we're going to talk through the Entrepreneurship Centre itself, how as an MBA student you can engage with that while you are at Said Business School, and just kind of touching on some of the initiatives that we run throughout the academic year. A bit of background, so the Entrepreneurship Centre, we were started about 15 years ago, and originally this was a research centre, so looking at entrepreneurship and innovation and the research around that. And as time has gone on, and of course as entrepreneurship has grown as a field, most of what we do now is very much student facing. And you'll of course know that from having looked at the curriculum as well for the MBA, and how embedded entrepreneurship is mainly through the Entrepreneurship Project. So we offer a lot different ways of interacting with you throughout the year, and I'll be taking you through that in more detail today. But before I do that, I'd like to hand over to Iulia, who's going to be sharing more about one of our newer initiatives, the Creative Destruction Lab in Oxford.
Great, thanks, Libby. I'm just going to share my screen. Fantastic. Hopefully you can see that now. Brilliant. So hello everyone, I'm Iulia, and thank you for joining us today. So I'm a program manager for the Creative Destruction Lab, and I look after the student program here at Oxford. So today I'll talk you through a little bit about the Creative Destruction Lab, our Oxford site, and also just talk to you about how you can get involved and learn from this experience. So again, please feel free to post your questions as I go through my presentation. So let me start with the rationale about behind CDL. So outside Silicon Valley, the market for judgment is much more sparsely populated, making it a bit more difficult for many inexperienced entrepreneurs to find sources of high quality judgment on what to prioritize and how to benchmark their progress. So in economics, anytime there is a willing seller on one side and then a willing buyer on the other side, and the two don't get to meet or transact, this is referred to as a market failure. And so this is the failure in the market for judgment that CDL is designed to rectify. And so CDL is focused on reducing the friction and increasing the transactions between the highest quality experienced entrepreneur, our CDL mentors, and the highest quality novice entrepreneurs, so the CDL venture founders, which come on our program. So the Creative Destruction Lab is an objective-based program for massively scalable seed stage science and technology-based companies. So the program is meant to enhance the performance of our founders who learn from the experienced entrepreneurs, increasing their probability of success. So the Creative Destruction Lab does not take fees or equity from our participating ventures. Our purpose is to enhance the prosperity of humankind through the rapid scaling of science-based companies, but also to have a new approach to business education that combines theory and learning by doing to nurture entrepreneurial mindset. So our main groups of stakeholders are our mentors. So these are the experienced entrepreneurs, the investors, the scientists, our ventures, which are the participating companies. Every cohort, there's a cohort every year. Our partners are students, so yourselves, who get to have a hands-on experience working with the venture and being part of the conversations they have with the mentors, and then the team behind it all. And so moving on to the program and its impact. CDL is spread across 8 sites in North America and Europe, of which Oxford was the first site in Europe, having launched in 2019 with the artificial intelligence stream. As you can see on the map, every site focuses on different streams. And you'll notice that in Oxford, we will be launching a health stream as well this year. And also we have a new exciting stream coming up this year in Paris and Vancouver, which is a climate stream. So we also have launched a temporary stream, CDL Recovery, which is focused on the full stack of information-based solutions to accelerate the world's recovery from the current COVID crisis. So CDL Recovery is aiming its attention on public health and economic recovery. So for example, contact tracing, symptom monitoring, workplace monitoring, but it's not focused on always on solutions such as PPE, treatments, vaccines, etc. And the program structure, so our program runs over a 9-month period, and it includes 4 full-day objective setting sessions, and these are run every 6 to 8 weeks apart. So the sessions are split into small group meetings and large room discussions. So the small group meetings are meetings where founders of the ventures get to have individual conversations with mentors and discuss the next objectives in the cycle. And then in the large room discussion, where mentors discuss and agree or disagree with the objectives set by the founders and the mentors. So companies can get dropped from the program at every session. So if no mentor commits the time to work and mentor the venture for the next sprint of 6 to 8 weeks, then they get dropped from the program. To talk a bit more about the Oxford site, so as I mentioned, hosted at University of Oxford Site Business School, and we've launched in September 2019 with the artificial intelligence stream, and now we are also adding the health stream, which will focus on accepting founders who are pursuing commercial opportunities for science and technology innovations in the fields of health and medicine and life sciences. So now moving on to how you can get involved and benefit from this program. So the student program is designed to teach business students about the formation, financing, and management of massively scalable ventures through a series of close interactions with the early stage ventures and the mentors that come onto the CDL program. And on top of that, we will also be providing lectures and tutorials. So all CDL sites are linked to a university. And at the moment, for the temporary recovery stream, we have been able to put together a cohort of 53 students from a number of our participating universities, and have created like an amazing program, and people get to meet other students from different universities. But this is not something that we do on our standard student program, where we focus on our students specifically. So there are 4 core learning experiences that we offer, and those are the evaluation of early stage sciences and technology-based ventures, exposure to the CDL venture and mentor engagement and the investment process, the strategy, instruction tailored to early stage science and technology-based ventures, and then business development or internal consulting experience with a CDL venture. So as mentioned, CDL offers an experiential learning process by matching students with ventures to provide a real-world business development and support. So it's a real-life immersive experience that cannot be found in any textbook. And so instead of reading a 30-page case study that comes with a fact sheet, students have to discover the facts themselves and figure out which are the most valuable. They also develop a keen awareness of the messiness of the real world and the challenge of having to make vital decisions before a clear picture of the key indicators has emerged. So while working with the startups, every decision matters. So students often feel a strong personal involvement in their startup experience because the consequences of their participation are so tangible. Some graduates of the program end up joining the companies they've been working with. Others get to start their own companies and continuing on their entrepreneurial path. Others just simply enjoy the strategic advisory role that they play with the venture, and then they go to translate their skills into roles in finance and management consulting. So whatever the learning trajectory, graduates emerge from the program both professionally and personally transformed. So just a few more details on our CDL Oxford specific student program. So the program will run from November 2020 to April 2021. At the moment, the program is co-curricular, and so all student engagement will be organized outside your core teaching classes. So to give you an idea of the process, we will be doing applications throughout the first 1 or 2 months of your joining Oxford, and then once you've been accepted onto the program, you will be joining session 1 in November, where you'll get to observe the large room discussion of the session and learn about the companies. And see what happens in the CDL session days. And then prior to session 2, you will be matched with a venture. So this will be based on your skills and your interest. And then at this point, you can start building a relationship with the venture. So after session 2, you will start working with the venture on a consulting project. So this consulting project will be based on the venture's needs, but also on the objectives that they've been set for the next sprint of 6 to 8 weeks until the following session. So just to hear from people who have been involved in the program. So Lily is a current MBA student at Oxford, and this is an extract of her thoughts on the program. And she talks about the experience with the venture and how she came away changed, feeling a bit more confident that she could one day be a founder or a mentor herself. So this is great. And then we have another testimonial from Rodney, who is an MBA graduate from Rotman School of Management in Toronto, where CDL was born. And he makes a great point about the speed that CDL moves at. And it's a really, really environment. And he says how you get out as much as you put into the program. So just to give you a little bit more about our mentors, and you probably recognize some of these faces. So our mentors are some experienced entrepreneurs, successful operators, angel investors, VC partners, and they all come in and give some amazing insights, and they offer the time for mentorship. So CDL is looking to attract global talent, and in 2019 we have seen 375 ventures across our sites, and that's out of over 2,000 applications, and the ventures represent 70 countries across the world. So just to give you a short overview of the companies that have gone through the program globally. So you probably recognize some of these names, and I'm not gonna put much accent onto this. And then we have our CDL Oxford partners. So those are founding partners and also corporate partners like Barclays. And that brings me to how you can learn more about CDL. And obviously you can reach out to me, and I will put the next slide up in a second, and you'll see my email address. Also, I'm happy to share these 2 videos with you, and you can learn more about our program on the website, which is creativedestructionlab.com. And that brings me to the end of my presentation, and I will be answering any questions at the end. So I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully you could hear me okay.
Thanks so much, Iulia. We're also keeping our cameras off just to make sure the connection can be as clear as possible. But I hope that gave you a really great insight into one of the programs that the Entrepreneurship Centre offers and how you can really enrich your experience while you're on the program. I'm also going to share my screen, and do let me know if you can see everything okay. Okay. Okay, I'm hoping you can all see that. If you can't, please just let me know. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit more about the Entrepreneurship Centre itself, and go through some of the initiatives that you can engage with, both while you are on the programme and a part of the MBA, but also beyond. So to really kick off about what the Entrepreneurship Centre is, what is our mission? Really, we are here to support both side business school students as well as alumni in pursuing your entrepreneurial ambitions. And they may take different forms, whether you have already started up a business, whether you see starting up a business in your future, or alternative, maybe you're looking to join a large organisation. So we're really looking at the entrepreneurial mindset as well. And we do this in 3 different ways. The first being experiential learning. And that's very much where my role is focused, and looking at the different programs we have throughout the year. But we also do it through thought leadership and access to relevant networks. The first program that I really want to sort of get into, and this is a real curriculum element, and I mentioned at the beginning about how entrepreneurship is very much embedded within the MBA curriculum, and you'll see that through the entrepreneurship project. Now, whilst there are other departments at the business school that are involved in this, the Entrepreneurship Centre sees this as a great way of practicing entrepreneurship and helping you enter the project and be prepared, but also making sure you're as successful as possible, because ideally what we want to see is people that take their projects on post-program. For any of you who are less familiar about the Entrepreneurship Project, this normally kicks off in Hillary term, so around February, and students, it's a compulsory element for all students, so students get into teams of 5, and you work on a business idea over the course of the coming months to really look at the financials of that business idea, looking at the market, understanding the customer, competitors, to get it up to a point where you are ultimately pitching this business idea to external panelists and your tutors. And so how does the Entrepreneurship Centre support you in this? Well, we run a series of preparatory workshops. This year we did a fantastic kick-off week, which was sort of a whole week dedicated to this project. And we welcomed Chrissy Rucker, who is the founder of the White Company, a highly successful business on the high street and online. So we bring in guest speakers to share their entrepreneurial journey, but also putting together one-to-one advisory sessions where you can meet with a business expert, talk through your business idea, and really make sure as you're coming up to the end of that project, you're making sure your presentations are really slick and prepared, but also that your financials are in place. We also give you access to business ideas. You know, you might come on the program knowing exactly what business idea you want to work on. However, for some of you, maybe you don't have an idea. So what we do is provide access to business ideas, not only from the Oxford ecosystem, perhaps bringing in researchers or staff members from different departments who have, you know, these great ideas but not really sure how to develop them further, but also externals who come in and are really keen to engage with our community and have a team of MBA students work on their ideas and develop them and take them to the next stage. So that's really to start from how we are involved in your curriculum. But also much of what we do is complementary to this and co-curricular. So I'm just going to walk you through just a couple of the initiatives that you may be familiar with already or might be new to you. The first of these is the Ideation Lab. So for the last 2 years, this has been in Michaelmas, so sort of across October and November. And the program is designed for those of you who don't have a business idea, but would like to understand the skills and the techniques in order to come up with better ideas. So this might be looking at your motivations. What are your values? We also talk about creative thinking. And we do these intensive brainstorming sessions to really identify a challenge that you'd like to work on, and then coming up with hundreds and hundreds of ideas that you can then narrow down and come out of the program with a strong idea. So this is one of our more structured programs. This program takes the form of a cohort of around 40 students, and we run it once a week in the evenings across a 4 to 5 week period. So this is an example of a more structured program. The Entrepreneurship series. So as I mentioned at the beginning, whilst we are running initiatives but focused perhaps on coming up with your own business idea or starting a business, we also recognize this really important element of applying the entrepreneurial mindset to a more complex structure, such as a large organization, whether that's government, something, a bank, a law firm. And so how can you understand the ways to come up with great ideas within these complex structures and make them successful within an organization? So this is actually a series that we're running now at the moment. We have session 4 coming up next week. And these are more standalone sessions. So we've welcomed speakers. We had the head of innovation at NATO yesterday. Before that, we had the global head of BizLabs, which is the accelerator for Airbus. We've also had the head of digital innovation at InBev, so one of the largest brewery companies. And so not only do these speakers share their own journeys of becoming an intrapreneur within these organizations, but also helping students to understand, okay, I see there's maybe a problem or an issue within an organization that I'm working with, and how can I come up with an idea and to really drive change within the space that I'm in. This next program, some of you may already be familiar with it, particularly if you're interested in investment and venture capital. The Oxford Seed Fund is a program that takes place across the whole academic year. We put out applications during the summer and we recruit an MBA-led team. So the last sort of 5 or 6 years, that's been a team of 11. So it's an MBA, a student-led investment fund. And the team throughout the year sources the deals, conducts due diligence, and also ultimately invests in Oxford affiliated businesses, working alongside a specialist advisory board of investors, venture capitalists. And so it's a great way if you're looking at going into the investment space and want to understand what it means to play the role of investor, but also if you're looking to start up a business and take the entrepreneur route, understanding it from the perspective of an entrepreneur. Of course, it's also a great funding opportunity for Oxford affiliated businesses, so those businesses that have a connection with the university, and really as a team member to really engage in the investment ecosystem, not only here in Oxford, but also in London and the UK. So the team currently are finalising their investment decision, and so we'll be announcing those investments shortly. But a very, very popular programme. We also do a number of more ad hoc events. Some of you may be familiar with the Oxford Said Entrepreneurship Forum. This is our flagship event. It takes place on one day a year. This year it was probably the last large gathering before sort of everything closed down in light of COVID-19. This is just one image from the day, and it's a day that is sort of all about entrepreneurship and innovation at a really inspirational level. We have keynote speakers, panel discussions across diverse industries. There's a pitching competition of entrepreneurs looking to share their business ideas, as well as an exhibition space where we welcome startups from the local ecosystem. This year you can see just some of the businesses and speakers that we had. So notably we had Anusha Ansari, who's the CEO of X Prize. She's also the first female space explorer. So this year's theme was space and beyond. So looking at the challenges, of course, outside of our cosmos, but also here on our own planet, and how we can think about innovation into solving some of those. So this year we had panels on gaming, on food waste, moonshot investing. So just to name a few. I do have a video. I'm not sure on the quality. What I might do is go through the rest of the presentation, and then I'll have Iulia help me to share the video from this year. But this is just sort of one of our ad hoc events. We also do throughout the year mixer events. So whether that's getting to know some of the ventures that are in the Oxford University Innovation Hub. And so we really want to make these connections with different actors across the space, and this kind of comes back to the point in the beginning about access to networks while you're on the program. Finally, the Libby project. Iulia shared about CDL recovery and this response to the challenges that the businesses are facing in light of COVID-19. And the Libby project is an initiative that we sort of put together very quickly in light of the situation to really address the challenges that startups, SMEs and scale-ups are facing, having to look at, how they can extend their runway, how can they pivot, how can they innovate, improve digital marketing. So a lot of these new challenges. And then we're matching these companies up with MBA students. And through internships for credit, but also acting as business consultants and working with executive MBA students, but also experts from our wider community. So this is a program that's taking place at the moment and is lasting 4 months to wrap up by September. So that's a really new initiative that we're working on. Next, I just want to talk a little bit more about this access to networks. And there's another group of people within the Entrepreneurship Centre who are there to support students of the business school as well as alumni. And this is the OWN network. So the OWN network is this international community. So it's not just people based in the UK. We have 53 experts positioned globally in a variety of industries who are entrepreneurs and they're business leaders, and they're really a part of the Entrepreneurship Centre to enrich your professional journeys. This just gives you an idea of some of the industries our experts are focused in, and you can get in touch with them and engage with them in different ways. This might be through one-to-one advisory sessions. So all our experts are available on our website. You can view their profiles. And if you've got some traction, for example, with a business idea and a business, you can reach out to one of these experts to have a one-to-one advisory session. They also host throughout the year workshops and masterclasses. They're also heavily involved in the entrepreneurship project, either through offering specific sessions or sitting on panels, and then as well as industry-specific events. So that's just a little bit more about the OWN network, and my colleague Serena oversees that program. So that's really everything that I wanted to share with you today. I know it's a lot of information, and hopefully we'll get some questions off you and we can share more. But I would say the best way is keeping connected with us on our social media. but also just getting in touch with us directly on email, and you can do that through entrepreneurship@sbs.ox.ac.uk, and we're happy to send those round after the webinar, and so you have all of those details. So yeah, I'll see if we can share the video of OSEF, because it's a really great way for you to really see what the event looks like directly, but we'll see what the connection is like. Let me just stop sharing my screen.
Libby, shall I try and share the video?
Yes, go for it. Let's see if we can do it.
I might actually turn my video off for the Right, can you see that now?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Good.
Progress is not simple, it's not fast. The big issues of the world will require sustained effort.
You have to innovate if you want to survive. It's simple as that.
Be it space, gaming, marketing, even immortality.
This is the time of opportunity. Everything is up for grabs.
This is much more of a global approach to entrepreneurship, bringing experts from all around the world to share their experiences with the students of Oxford and beyond.
This is an event that increases your understanding and appreciation of what's happening in the world today.
There's space for social impact within entrepreneurship.
Private sector can really do something life-changing of refugees, people who are really able to change even this world.
Providing easy and affordable access to space, all those technologies end up helping us better our lives here on our planet. Innovation and creation that we can't even anticipate.
There are good deals to be done in some of the most unlikely places.
We've opened up the doors and created a whole new level of interest in companies creating new technologies in this area.
A collisionable space where we're trying to help further the world
With a broader perspective of what's possible and not being afraid of having an entrepreneurship spirit. It will cost you to innovate, but if you don't innovate, it will cost you even more.
The new solutions we need require a new approach on how people work together.
I think the students, they're going to come away with a sense that they're not alone, that in fact there's a community of entrepreneurs here at Oxford Said and in the world.
Right, hopefully you were able to see that okay.
Yes, we'll make sure we send through the link as well, so you can watch it, hopefully on a better connection than we have today, but hopefully that gives you a good idea. So yeah, thank you, Iulia.
Thank you.
I can see...
On to Q&A.
Yeah. I think maybe the beginning questions are more around CDL.
I think the last question, maybe we should start with that. Can you share some information on the Entrepreneurial Residence Programme and how it differs from CDL? And I guess you're probably better placed to answer that.
Maybe Takura, maybe you can clarify a little bit more when you say the Entrepreneur in Residence Programme. I'm not sure if you're referring to the O network.
We'll give Takura a bit more time.
Yeah, if Takura, if you don't mind just clarifying the programme that you're referring to, that would be really helpful, but definitely come back to us and we'll answer you.
Great. So let me then go back to the first question. Can we refer businesses and founders into the CDL program? And yes, you can certainly refer businesses and founders to us. The applications are open until the August 10th, so please get them to apply as soon as possible, and our team or venture managers will look over the applications. Is it necessary to be a founder or entrepreneur of a venture to be accepted to learn from mentors or teams at CDL Oxford? So there's a difference between the ventures and then the students. So the ventures come in with their businesses, and they get the support from the mentors and the advice, whereas the students come in to support and learn from the ventures and the mentors. So you'd get paired with a venture, and then you'll be part of their team as such for a period of time to learn from them and the conversations they have with the mentors. So no, you don't have to be a founder yourself or to have a venture. And I think that answered your question. But if not, let me know and I can answer again. Does an applicant to CDL need to have a registered venture? So if this is a venture applicant, yes, they do. So it's open to all seed stage ventures and companies. But as a student, no, you don't have to, because obviously you'll be giving your time to support these ventures that are in the program. Do you have any students who have joined full-time or startup they were working with as part of CDL? At the moment, not on our Oxford site, but there are a number across the international program. For example, we have somebody called Liran Belazan, and he has joined the bench site. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. So he joined he started or learned about CDL as a student, then went on to work with the company, and now he is one of the board members, and I believe actually the CEO, and he's now coming back onto the CDL program as a mentor himself. So an amazing journey, and you can actually find more information about him on our website, and I can share those links at the end with you. Are you getting any remuneration salary when working as part of CDL on the project? Unfortunately not. So the CDL program, as I said, runs from November to April, whilst you're still doing your core classes and you're still on your program. But there have been instances where students have gone on to either be part of the companies and continue working, or maybe just do an internship for the summer with those companies, obviously depending on how well they're doing. But I guess if you're looking to go into working with the venture, then that's a possibility at a later stage, but not whilst you're a student. Is there a selection process for the CDL program? If yes, what is the criteria? So yes, we ask you to apply, and so last year we had 40 places available for the CDL program, and for those 40 places we had over 200 applications. So the interest was really high, and we're also trying to open it to the wider student community, so including MBAs and our undergraduates, hopefully, but also the wider university. So a lot of interest, so we have to have an application process in place, and we usually ask for you to submit your CV alongside a short video, just to express your motivation for being part of the program. But also for you to tell us how you think you can add value to a venture, a seed stage venture who's going through the program. And then any relevant experience that you would like to share with us.
I'm just gonna maybe just coming back to Sakura's question, perhaps maybe this is helpful to us to understand is, so the CDL student program is one of the programs within the Entrepreneurship Centre. So in terms of engaging, there's lots of different things going throughout the year, and it'll be up to you to determine in terms of the how many hours per week, and I would say the CDL student program, and Iulia can correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably more time to dedicate, then let's say perhaps an ideation lab, which is once an evening just throughout one term. So, you know, depending on what your interests are and what you want to get involved in or learn more about, there's definitely a lot to choose from. And just by having a look through what's available can help you decide. Elzan asks, are any of the Space and Beyond Entrepreneurship Forum sessions available for rewatch for new admins? Such an incredible event. Thank you. We're actually working on at the moment to set up a series of podcasts whereby you can hear the sessions from this year. So whether that's the panel discussions or the keynotes, there is, I think, still the podcasts available from the event in 2019 available as podcasts. So I'll make a note of that and send that through to the team, the webinar team, and they can hopefully send some more information out to you. So I can definitely send you some links, and we are working on getting the podcast. So I think there are some photos online, but I appreciate podcasts and listening to the content is more interesting. Let me go to Sanya's question. So we'd love to hear more about the Oxford Seed Fund programme. How does one get involved and what are the best prerequisites? That's a great question. Definitely, you don't have to have a background in investment and venture capital. What we're looking for within the team is definitely a diversity of skills, whether that's marketing, whether that is investment, whether that's strategy, so to really make up a complementary team. And I would say across the 11 students that we have this year, their expertise really vary. The one thing that probably connects them all is a strong interest in investment and the investment ecosystem and VC as an industry, either because they want to start their own business and want to understand it from the perspective, or they're looking at joining the industry post-program. It's a lengthy application, but that's really because of the time commitment across the year. And we normally open that in August, and that's both for the position of managing director. So within the team itself, there are different roles, both from a managing director point of view. There's also deputy director roles, and then directors for the other roles. So we open up all the roles, and then it is very much an interview process throughout August, September, and into October when the program officially starts. There is a lot of information on the website around the team, the fund itself, and the portfolio ventures. But yeah, I would say don't think that you have to have a background in investment, but an interest, a really strong interest or sort of demonstrated interest is always really important.
Right. Thanks, Libby. I want to look in the chat. Takura offered some more information about what he or she meant. In the meantime, I'll just respond. So again, the selection criteria, yes, there's an application process, and we'll just ask for your motivation and how you can add value to a venture, and also any sort of relevant experience. Max's question, I just want to clarify how to get involved in the CDL. Applications are released once the MBA program has begun. Yes, so we'll be releasing the applications from September onwards, and we'll probably give it a few weeks for you all to apply as you come on to Oxford, or any other plans that you may have. And then we will make sure that you get an introduction from Professor Thomas Hellman, who is the academic lead on CDL, about what the program involves, and just a bit more information. And perhaps we might be able to do that beforehand. And we're also looking at the possibility of involving you in the venture interview week. It's taking place in September, but obviously it depends on how things progress until then. So at the moment, I can't quite confirm everything, but I'll do my best. There's a question for you.
Yes. I can take Takura's question. So Takura's question before relates to the Student Entrepreneurs Programme. So this is otherwise known as STEP. This was a programme that was started last year and involved Oxford University Innovation, Oxford Sciences Innovation, OSI, the Oxford Foundry and the Entrepreneurship Centre, and it was a programme looking at how to take intellectual property and come up with ideas around that. And so we had MBA students supporting the programme, acting as these as entrepreneurs in residence, as Takura mentioned, working alongside different people from the wider university. So it was very much a sort of an interdisciplinary teams, building a business idea around it, but also then pitching it for a panel to then get a prize. And I think it was around £15,000 as the prize to sort of continue working on the business further. But yes, Takura, do send me an email and I'm happy to send you more information about that. The next question is from Andrea. So can you expand on the application process for the Ideation Lab? Yes. Traditionally, the Ideation Lab kicks off sort of end of October and goes for about 6 weeks before the winter break. Applications, when you join the program, you'll have access to a platform called Canvas. We do applications through that. And normally I would say with a lot of our applications for maybe more structured, shorter programs, is really kind of understanding why you'd like to take part in it. What are you looking to get out of it? What appeals to you? And sort of your motivations around that. So that's the application process for that one. Let me look. Elzan, I'm a 1+1 student starting the MPP this year and the MBA next year. What resources could I take advantage of during this next year without being an MBA student? That's a really good question. So throughout the year, we do events and activities, not just for Saïd Business School students, but we also try and create ways of, again, it's this access to networks. I think the university is an amazing place to just connect with lots of different people. So I mentioned before about these sort of speed dating networking events where we did ventures from OUI. Another thing that we're looking at is, for example, it would be great, I think, if you're going to be doing the MBA the following year, perhaps doing this sort of mixer event, and perhaps the Entrepreneurship Centre can host that and sort of bring together MBA students and the 1+1 students. Of course, the Oxford Saïd Entrepreneurship Forum is a great way to kind of really get an inspirational full day experience and just meet so many different people and yeah, just engage with so many different industries. So that's another way as well. But I think the best way is to follow social media, keep in touch with the events that we have going on to really make sure you can sort of see what's around as well. Jonathan, given time restrictions, is it possible to be part of both CDL and Impact Lab, or is it generally advised to be part of one lab? Impact Lab is run by the CDL Centre. So that is a program that I think runs throughout the academic year, similarly to the CDL student program. I'm not sure on the number of hours it requires, but...
I'm not sure about Impact Lab, but I would say that in terms of CDL, so obviously as it's a co-curricular activity and program, we can't expect an infinite amount of hours from you. So I would say that ideally, to make the most of the program, you may want to offer about 2 to 5 hours a week after. So as I said, you'd get paired with a venture just before session 2, which usually takes place around January, February time, at which point you then will start to build that relationship with the venture. So at that point, you'll have to give in those sort of hours a week just to benefit and learn from the process. But again, it's not a set in stone requirement as such. So I would say that obviously it depends on also the core subjects that you're studying during the term and how you think you can use up your free time as well. Once selected for the CDL, does a student pick the enterprise they want to work with for the 6 months? So as I said, one, you get to sit in and see all the ventures that have started on the program. Some ventures may get dropped throughout the process, but we do get your preferences in terms of the ventures that you are interested in working with, and perhaps we get your top 3 or top 5 as such. And then from there, based on your skills and on your interest and what the venture is looking for, we're going to try and do our best to match you in the most effective way. So in a way, yes, in a way, no. Are there any requirements for students to join the CDL on the VC side? So I might have to get you a better answer to this question from the team, but to be involved in CDL in any other way other than as a venture or as a student, there's a very long vetting process, and there are some requirements that people have to meet. So that also gets approved at the global level of CDL. So I guess I can get you a more detailed answer, but I think you probably have to be very, very experienced to get in on the VC side. Can MBA students join CDL and Finance Lab at the same time? Libby, do you?
I would say, I think it's sort of a similar question along the lines of the Impact Lab. So Impact Lab and Finance Lab are not initiatives run by the Entrepreneurship Centre. However, they are perhaps a larger time commitment because of the length of time that they run for and the structure of them. I would say, I'm not aware of students that have done Finance Lab and CDL, for example, because then it's neither two groups that I work with so much. I have students, for example, that ask about Finance Lab and the Seed Fund, and what we have found is that, I think from my experience, Finance Lab is quite a big time commitment in the first term, and in the second term it's maybe not as much. Now things may change. Like I said, I'm not the program manager for the Finance Lab, so I would say find out the time commitments for both, assess that alongside your classes, your sort of compulsory curriculum elements, and then decide what works for you, and manage it that way.
Great. Lucas' question, can you please give us some examples where participation in the Impact Lab and CDL had direct impact on your career post-grad and employment? So I would say from a CDL perspective, we actually still have, I think 2 or 3 students who have continued working with the venture post April when the program finished, and I know one of them is in conversations about joining the venture full time, and this is just Oxford, from our Oxford site. And as I said, I'm happy to share details of Liran who joined BenchSci from Toronto, and actually I'm pretty sure there's more students that I can share some stories of, and I can follow up with that on perhaps me and Libby will put a resource list together for everyone and share it afterwards. If the venture is dropped off during the process, do you get reassigned to another venture? So last year we started off with 24 ventures in the program, and only 10 of them graduated. And this is not to say that the ventures were no good, it's just to say that obviously having gone through the process, the mentors have been able to help them to a certain point, and thereafter they were no longer able to help them in any way. So they've been dropped off the program in that sense. So when a venture gets dropped from the program, if let's say that happens at session 2, just after you've been paired with them, which can happen, you can continue working with them if you really believe in what they do. And we have had a couple of students this year who did, and they've had an amazing experience, and they've learned things that the other students may not have learned. But also you can get reassigned to another venture. And then again, it depends on the number of students that we have paired with each venture. But yes, that's a possibility. Not sure if this has been answered already. Is the venture selection stage open to non-CDL participants too? be great to know what all the ventures are participating and then decide to join CDL. So we are hoping, we're hoping to involve students. I'm not quite sure at this stage how and who we're gonna accept onto that process. I think it will probably be non-CDL participants, just because so in September we won't have had the applications and the admissions submitted. So I would say yes, we'll probably get some sort of a survey or a form to get, ask you to fill in a form and see if it's something that we can get you involved in.
Sania's question. So on the facilitation side of entrepreneurship and innovation, policy and education, training, etc., to facilitate, is there any projects and programs that exist on that end developing the skills for this? That's a really interesting question. I would say in programs like the Ideation Lab or the Entrepreneurship Series, it's very much about skills for the individual to understand either whether to come up with better ideas, whether to how to innovate within a complex organization. I would say the part around sort of facilitation side, what we've experienced is, for example, I had some students who did the Ideation Lab and then they were working in their study group or working with other students, and they used the same techniques to work within their study group. Now, in terms of sort of actual facilitation, we don't do specific training programs on that. I would say what we more commonly see is how we match up, for example, MBA students who perhaps have more experience from a business acumen perspective or from a startup perspective, and pair them up with teams who have technical expertise. And that's something that we see a lot either through the entrepreneurship project, through the STEP program that we had a question about before. But in terms of sort of specific projects and programs for training, no. But that's a really interesting question and definitely something we can have a think about as well.
Great. I think that's the end of the questions.
Yes.
Yes, well done. Thank you so much, ladies, for that. Could you just maybe remind us of your email address if anyone does have further information?
Yeah, shall we put them in the chat?
Yeah, that'd be great. If you could pop the email address in the chat. And if any of you want to follow up, have a bit of clarification, please feel free to email them.
Yeah, that's even better. And I'll put my personal one as well for all the CDL related questions.
That's perfect. Thank you, guys. I hope you got that. Thank you, Iulia, Libby, and thank you everyone who joined. I hope you found that really helpful. Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.